Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Pure Faith Podcast, a podcast where we discuss all things Bible. I'm your host, Mitchell Heitkamp, and with me is my co-host and sister, Michelle Waymeyer.
Hello.
If you haven't done so yet, then we ask that you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit the notification icon to be notified when we release new episodes. And we also ask that you check out our website, which is purefaithliving.com, which is linked in the show description below.
You did a good job.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been practicing.
I see that you've got new bibs on here. These are really nice. I don't want a pair, but we
You
do.
want a pair?
No, I said I don't, but we match pretty good.
Sure, that was our goal.
Yeah, I had no idea what you had on until I walked in. I'm like, really? That's what you got on?
Yeah, that's what I wore to work.
Well,
Came straight from work.
came straight from work. So did I. That's why I
Well,
wore to work today.
lucky you.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to find my right spot in my notes.
You're so
whenever-
not engaged in my conversation.
I'm listening.
No, I said engaged.
Oh, am I ever?
No,
So
No.
what's new?
whatever. Okay, but we had a family wedding over the weekend,
We did.
real quick. And it was a very nice visit. It was a nice wedding. We traveled up north and we spent New Year's Eve at High Camp Wedding, and then we visited with Noah and Elle for a while.
We did.
So, yep. And we got to see, you didn't get to see the dogs. I got to see the dogs, which was really nice. We watched the football game. That's the Ohio State football game.
Yeah.
It was really hard when the ball dropped and the ball went left at the same
Yeah.
time, because I was like, oh, Happy New Year. And I was just like, no,
Yeah, that was.
no, not right now. I'm like, okay, whatever. So, but we got to spend some time together. So, fun
Yeah.
times. Fun times. They sing you happy birthday
Who?
at the wedding. It was Mitchell's birthday also, New Year's
I
Eve.
don't think so.
He's not 40 yet. He's close.
I'm not 40 yet.
You're catching up.
I'm always going to be catching up. Always.
Always. All right. We're going to do a Bible study. Are you ready?
I know,
I
I'm
was-
ready.
I will see. That's why I was trying to engage in conversation, because I so know you're not ready for this. So,
I don't even know what to think right now.
you don't?
No.
Okay. Well,
So this is going to be interesting.
it'll flow.
Yeah.
It'll flow.
So normally I actually go through my notes like twice before I even come here. I'll do it the night before. I'll do a whole run through it. And then I'll do it again, like I'll try to come here early and I'll do it again
Mm-hmm.
beforehand. And I was still working on notes whenever I was here preparing. And last night when I tried to run through it, I didn't remember where we left off. So I'm
Oh.
like, well, I don't know where to start. So it's going to be interesting.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
It's weird. You're sitting like way over there.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's okay. You can talk.
What's that? I couldn't hear you. Trying to engage the audience.
Nice try.
Eh,
You might have to do like a question answer thing, since you don't know what you're going to really talk about. Maybe you can get them.
like with everybody here?
Yeah. All the
Or
people way in the back.
Everybody stand up and give your name and where you're from and 3 likes and dislikes.
That's so funny.
Let's go handheld with the camera and just
Get real close.
get real close.
Yeah. All right. Get started.
Okay.
Where are we?
I don't know. That's the problem.
Well, see, I was kind of looking at my notes. I'm like, I really don't even know if I know where we're at. I thought we were at number 3 here.
Well, technically we are,
Okay.
but 75% of the stuff in 3 we've already discussed
Okay.
because I didn't follow my notes.
Oh, that is right.
But I'm thinking we'll go ahead and start at 3.
Okay.
And I'll actually probably end up pulling by 3. Bullet point number 3 in the notes.
Yeah.
But I'll probably end up going back and talking a little bit about the devil leading into it with the proposition, if you are the Son of God. Start there a little bit.
Okay.
Let's pull that back into it.
Okay.
I don't know. We're just going to see.
Let's roll
Where
with
we're
it. Okay.
So, um, for those that watched our last episode, this is a continuation of that one. So, if you didn't watch that one, you'll be really confused. But so I recommend going back and watching that one. So we are in verse 3. And verse 3 is, and the tempter came and said to him, if you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread. And we talked about the tempter and how the devil goes by 3 different names throughout this whole section of scripture. And this is the second name. First one is the devil. Now he's being called the tempter. So we talked about that a little bit. And then we went into how the tempter said, if you are the Son of God, and the possible meaning behind this. And the most likely or most believable in my mind is this is like a taunt, the whole,
Yes.
if you are the Son of God, prove it.
Mm-hmm.
But because this isn't necessarily saying, I mean, it says, if you are the Son of God, but a more accurate translation would be, since you are the Son of God. But the devil was then twisting that, saying, well, if you are the Son of God, prove it.
Mm-hmm.
And along with that, he is saying that, by pulling in this command these stones to become loaves of bread, he's saying, okay, well, prove you are the Son of God. Because if you are the Son of God, there's no reason why you should be hungry. There's no reason why you should be starving out here in the wilderness, out here in the middle of nowhere, nobody else around you, nobody here to help you. There's no reason for this. You have the power to change these stones into bread. So do it.
Right.
Do this miracle.
Right.
Feed yourself.
Mm-hmm.
As the Son of God, you should not be hungry. So there's kind of a two-sided part to this. It's, prove it by feeding yourself because you shouldn't be hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take a little deeper look into this whole command these stones to become loaves of bread. And some of this stuff we did cover in our last episode. So it's going to be reiterating some of it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's okay.
It'll maybe help you remember some of it.
We got 30 minutes to burn here, so.
Sure. Now watch, we probably won't even get to verse 4. So for those watching, I haven't had as much time to get my notes prepared as I like, and I haven't had time to go through them like I like. So there's gonna be a lot of tangents.
We haven't had them in a while, so we'll let it pass this time.
Okay.
But we'll be very much more prepared for next week.
Well, it's not really my fault.
Yes, it is.
Mm,
How is it not your fault?
It's the Army's fault.
Okay, it is the Army's fault. So yeah, Mitchell leaves
So blame
tonight. So
So we're going to start with command these stones to become loaves of bread. So as Jesus has this power. We know Jesus has this power. In the act of actually doing this miracle, the act of actually changing these stones to bread, that itself would not have been sinful. That would have been perfectly acceptable because, like we discussed this in our last episode, in other occasions, Jesus does this.
Yes, he does.
He feeds the 5,000. He feeds the less known 4,000 that everybody overlooks.
Yes.
He changes the water to wine at the wedding. So he does these kinds of miracles. But let's also not forget that in John 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. And then it goes on to say that through him, all things were created. So if you take that and then you go back and look at Genesis, which we're not going to go down that big of a rabbit hole.
Okay.
But if you would do that study yourself, then you would see that in the creation story in Genesis, the Father creates everything through the Son. So if Jesus was there during the creation of our entire world, why couldn't he turn a stone into a loaf of bread? That'd be simple for him.
Very simple.
I mean, if he can make mountains move and do all this other stuff, why can't he make this stone become bread? He can.
He can.
But that's not where the sin is. That's not where
That's not
the
part of the
devil's,
journey.
yes, that's not what the devil's trying to get. Because something I heard somebody say in my multiple hours of listening to stuff was, if this temptation would be about simply getting Jesus to eat, why would he bring a stone? Why wouldn't he bring a freshly baked loaf of bread that's hot
Right.
with some cinnamon butter and
Oh, yeah, even
all kind
better.
of good stuff, and just be like, here, eat?
Even better.
I
Yes.
mean, I don't
Cinnamon
think
butter.
I don't think I could refuse that.
No.
So
Oh, it's warm bread. Yeah.
yeah, especially if you're in the situation he was in.
Right.
So yeah, so why would it be? It's not about the food.
Mm-mm.
It's about doing the miracle and what Jesus would be doing the miracle for, the reason behind the miracle. And that reason, that sinful reason, would be for self-gratification,
Right.
for feeding himself, because that wasn't God's plan.
Right.
That would be Jesus taking matters into his own hands, basically saying, God, Father, I don't trust that you want to take care of me the way the way I think you should. So I'm going to take matters into my own hands, and I'm going to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the sin lies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I kind of already talked about this, and like what I just said there, that kind of leads into our verse 4. And I'm just going to jump right ahead. I'm going to go right to it.
Okay.
Because Jesus' reply, like we just said, this isn't about the food. And so Jesus replies in verse 4, but he answered, it is written, man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. So what Jesus is pulling this from is from Deuteronomy 8:3.
Okay.
But before I get into Deuteronomy, I kind of want to reiterate the situation or the condition Jesus was even in. I know we talked about this on our last episode. Jesus fasted for 40 days, no food. And at that 40-day mark, he was hungry.
Yes, it was.
He was hungry because he was in a humanly role. He wasn't in a divine role.
Yes.
He was acting purely human. But on top of that, his body was hungry because he was entering starvation. His body was starting to, it used up all of the fat stores and is now attacking vital organs.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is literally days away from death. And I had another thought that come into my head, so it kind of threw me off for a second. But so he's like, the only thing that he can think of,
Right.
well, this is Jesus. If we were in that situation, the only thing we would be able to think about is food.
Food and water.
Finding food,
Yep.
getting food, eating something.
It takes
whatever.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be the
It
only
makes
thing
you
you'd be able to
delirious.
think about. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Not that I've ever been in this state, but
well,
I'm just
obviously
saying.
I haven't either.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I. Sorry, my dog.
Yeah, right.
But there's programs, TV programs of people. You see those things, and you see that people start doing crazy things. So
Yeah.
he was to this point where.
And that reminded me, like, whenever I picture Jesus, like at this state, this 40 days, all of his fat stores are gone. The picture that comes in my head is the picture that you would see of the Jewish people that were in the Nazi concentration camps.
Okay.
That where you could literally see their frame, the skeletal frame through the skin. Like there's just nothing left.
Yeah.
And in my mind, that's what I'm seeing Jesus as.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's gone 40 days. I mean, let's be honest here. I doubt if he looked much like me whenever he started his fast. He was probably in a little bit better shape.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
I don't think he had a spare tire, but he might have.
That's
You
the
never
fair
know.
time.
Anyways, so yeah, but whenever, as I started doing this research and thinking about starvation and the condition he was
Did it
probably
make
in,
you hungry?
well, I'm always hungry.
This is not good.
Sun comes up, I'm hungry. It's
Oh, gotcha.
sun goes down, I'm
You
hungry.
wanna
That's
know?
whatever. Um,
Oh, such a rabbit hole.
I know, but so yes, like I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
that's the way I imagine Jesus is at this point in time. And like I said, the only thing he can think about is food, and this is when the devil
Yeah.
comes to him.
He works through that.
Yeah, and so well now let's talk about the devil a little bit, which we kind of talked about the devil. I think I don't know, 2 episodes ago or something.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, in my own personal study, I fell into a rabbit hole and started doing more research into the devil and all that, and I learned some interesting things. But one of the things that really hit me hard was that the fact that we shouldn't look at the devil as God. And you may be like, well, what do you mean by
Yeah.
that?
Well, you see the look on my face. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, and at first I was like, yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But the thing is, we give the devil the same attributes that are only God's. And the main ones I'm talking about, God has a lot of
Yeah, he
attributes.
does. Mhm.
At purefaithliving.com, we have 2 articles on this, which is the
We do.
communicable attributes of God and the incommunicable attributes of God. Anyways, so
We
I'll
do
talk
have
about
those.
the incommunicable attributes of God. So these are the attributes that only God has. He does not share with us. There are some attributes that we get part of them, and then God has them.
Hmm.
But the incommunicable ones are the ones he does not communicate with us. The 3 most famous ones are omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so omnipresent, being everywhere at once.
Everywhere at once.
The devil can't be everywhere at once. The
Mm-mm.
devil can be at one place at one time. So he's not in all of our lives all the time like God is. That's something I think I kind of gave that attribute to him.
I actually think I did too.
Yeah. But once you actually start thinking about it, it's like, no, if you actually start going back and reading scriptures and studying, there doesn't say that. He can only be, like even in the story of Job, God asked the Satan, where have you been? He said he was walking back and forth across the earth.
Mm.
He wasn't all over
Yeah.
the earth. He was walking back and forth across it. So he's not omnipresent.
No.
He's not omnipotent.
Mm-mm.
He's not all powerful.
Mm-mm.
He, he is the prince of this world, but he is not all powerful. God still holds that title.
Yeah.
Yes, he may be the prince of this world, but he is still basically a servant to God.
Mm.
God uses him for his own purposes.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one? Omnipotent, omniscient?
Yes. Or something like
I
that.
don't know. Is that the one I need to do yet?
Mhm.
Okay, what is omniscient? There's all powerful, all knowing. Oh, somebody. I don't remember. This isn't in my notes. Anyways, he doesn't have all the omni ones. Omnipotent is all powerful. Omnipresent is it all knowing?
All knowing is.
All knowing. Yes. So yeah, that is right. It is all knowing. Because the devil doesn't know everything. Because he doesn't know, like, all he knows about what Jesus is doing here is what the scriptures say. The devil knows the Bible. He knows these writings. He knows these stories. He was around during a lot of this. He may not have been everywhere at once, but he knows all these stories. He knows all these scriptures that are pointing to Jesus. And the devil has done a good job up to this point in the story as far as stopping God's plan, because this is the tangent I was going to go towards the end.
Gotcha.
So if we go back to the very beginning, again, back to Genesis,
Mm-hmm.
when Adam and Eve were created,
Mm-hmm.
God created a perfect world.
Yeah.
He created the Garden of Eden. It was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happens? Evil comes in as a serpent, tricks Eve into eating the one thing that they weren't supposed to eat. And so now let's take a tangent on a tangent here.
Please,
I'm
let's
just
do.
going. I'm just going.
Don't hit me.
Something else that we can look at, pulling our current story of Jesus and these temptations back into it. Jesus, his role in this temptation is to reenact all the failures from before, the failures that the devil has stopped. So, like I said, that very first creation, Adam and Eve,
Mm-hmm.
there was only two people, two humans on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
They had everything at their disposal. They had one rule.
One rule.
One rule. They could eat everything and anything they wanted, except for fruit from this one tree. And now we have Jesus during this temptation that can't eat anything. He is fasting for 40 days, hasn't had a bite of food for 40 days. He is literally starving.
Literally starving.
Adam and Eve are in the Garden of Eden.
With everything.
Everything they could possibly want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other differences is, I don't remember.
Okay.
Maybe they'll come back to me.
Or maybe it will. It usually does.
But anyways.
Randomly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, this is going to be full tangent stuff going on here. Like my phone like shut off on me because I'm not using my notes. So anyways.
It did.
Is
this where the comes in?
Yeah, I think about there. Yeah, I just went straight to there.
Okay. Okay. It's a ...
Yeah.
Oh, we've been through that. Okay.
Well, I think we're still in that.
Oh, okay.
Like I get my thought back again. So again, going back to the devil, like he was able to stop Adam and Eve from having that perfect world. I mean, like we said, they had everything. They had one rule, and they were still tempted into sinning, and that sin threw off God's plan for the world. Well, you could jump forward. Well, then you could go to Moses, and I've said this before. I think it was on the podcast.
Yep.
But there's a lot of like multiple stages where history just kind of repeats itself. And this is the same thing. Moses, same thing. Moses ended up sinning, couldn't go into the promised land. And then that leads right into Israel. Israel's supposed to, God chooses Israel as his people. And what do they do from the very beginning throughout the entire doubting, questioning, why are you bringing us out here to die? Let us go back to Egypt. Oh, I'm hungry. I don't have anything to eat. Oh, okay, give us bread. Well, I'm tired of bread. I want food. And he gives quail. And it's like, nothing's ever good enough.
Nothing's ever good enough.
Constantly failing. Well, now we go back to Jesus. Again, he's out in the wilderness by himself, no food, verge of starvation. And now he is being tempted by probably the most powerful being on earth that's not heavenly.
Okay.
I mean, if that makes sense. Because the devil is restricted to here so I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as far as evil goes, he is the leader of all evil. So now you have Jesus in a human role going up against the devil himself. Normally, who attacks us individually, we just get the minions of the devil. We don't have the devil ourselves, and we should be considered we should consider it very lucky that
Yeah.
we're not having the full throttle the devil coming against us, and it's just his minions. But even with that said, we can just tell Satan to leave
Yeah.
because he has been defeated. But anyways, that was just keeping in mind. But now we have Jesus in state of starvation against devil, the most powerful leader of evil. So it's almost like a David and Goliath story.
Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, if you think about it, so David was nobody. He was the smallest of his
Small.
brothers, barely 5 foot to 5'3", somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Or suspected, or it doesn't actually say how tall
Right.
David is, but the average height of the Israelite army at that time was between 5 foot and 5'3",
Okay.
and he was still considered small, so he's probably around that 5 foot mark,
Mm-hmm.
we guess. And then Goliath, um, some translations put him at like 9'6" or something, but most original records put him actually more around like 6, no, 7'6".
7'6".
7'6", I think is what it was.
Okay.
Which is still tall.
Yeah, it's tall.
I mean,
Big
that's
guy.
tall.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh, okay, it's kind of unrealistic. But actually in the video, I'll put this up. There's a picture of Shaquille O'Neal next to Simone Biles. Is that her last name? Simone.
She's
Something
the
like that.
gymnast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like 4'11". And I think Shaq is
Tall.
6'11", 7 foot, something like that.
Oh, I'm sure he's taller than that.
No,
You don't think
I think it's
so?
around 7, just under 7, I think.
I don't know. I've never seen the man.
He's all over.
Oh, I meant in person.
But yeah, there's a picture of those two next to each other. Okay,
It's like
I can get the David and Goliath
yep.
scenario just from that picture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because she like barely goes through his hip, and he's just way up there.
Yeah. I can picture it.
And the other thing is, Teresa, and I think Shaq is a good
Because he's a big guy.
he's broad. He's
Yeah,
he's just massive.
yeah, big
So
guy.
yeah, I mean, I'll put that picture on the video, but yeah, that is, in my opinion, the best example of the David and Goliath
A
comparison.
visual. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we have, oh, you got it on there? Oh, 7'1". Okay, so Shaq 7'1", and Simone I think is 4'11".
Could
if I
be.
remember
Yeah,
correctly.
gymnast. I'm sure she's not very tall.
You got the picture?
Oh, there you go. Oh my gosh. So yes, you can visualize this. You guys are really, this is going to be an interesting picture when you see it.
Yeah.
Because it puts a visual to it.
Yeah.
You know, you see all of, you see, the drawn pictures of all of it, but this is an actual visual of two
Yeah.
people that are famous.
And it's realistic heights.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are people that are alive today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy.
Yeah.
But the whole reason I even brought that up is, again, so Jesus in this story would be David.
Yeah. Especially after 40 days and not having anything to eat and, at that point of starvation, not even having any strength,
Yeah.
probably,
Yeah.
to
He
go
would
against.
he'd be extremely weak.
Yeah.
He couldn't think of anything hardly besides food. And
Yeah, not just physically weak. He's mentally and
Yes.
emotionally weak, probably all of it.
yes. So yes, in this picture he would be David,
Mm-hmm.
and the devil being the prince of this world,
Mm-hmm.
and the prince of the evil in this world, he would be the Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
And something else that it's going to lead right into it. I'm still in the by the way.
Oh.
Um.
...
So whenever David went up against Goliath, he went to the river and picked up 5 river
Yes.
stones
Yes.
and put them in his shepherd's pouch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jesus technically had 5 books to choose from. Now, whenever I told Paige this, she super unimpressed.
This does not surprise me.
we were in the kitchen, we were cleaning, getting ready for the Christmas party.
Okay.
I was on the floor scrubbing the cabinets, and
Wait, we don't have to go into that
no, we need it.
detail.
I was scrubbing the cabinets, cleaning the cabinets for the party, and we're both in the kitchen, so I'm like, I'll just start a conversation. I'm like, hey, I heard this interesting thing, and I told her the story. I'm pretty sure the cabinets were more impressed than she was. Like, nothing, nothing. At least the cabinet doors creaked, but she didn't know. So, anyways, so Jesus had 5 books to choose from. He had Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. The 5 books, first 5 books of the Bible, the Pentateuch, the Torah. These were the 5 books of the law.
Is this how you told the story to Paige?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm listening.
So he had 5 books, and these 5 books would have been known by all of the Jewish people that day. I mean,
Yes.
this was their base
Mhm.
for belief.
Okay.
So out of the 5 books that he could have chose, he chose one. And all 3 of these temptations, his reply comes from Deuteronomy. 2 of them are Deuteronomy 8, and one is Deuteronomy 6. Unless I got that backwards. I think it's 2 from 8 and 1 from 6. Deuteronomy 8, Deuteronomy 6.
Is
So,
this where I
yeah,
should
this
be
crickets.
like,
Not even crickets. Crickets would make more noise.
wait, was she even paying attention to you?
I
Like,
don't know.
I mean,
She might have fell asleep.
okay.
I don't know. But anyways, sorry, sweetie. Anyways, so
That is
again,
an
the
interesting
comparison
fact.
from Jesus being David. You know, David had the 5 stones. Jesus had the 5 books. They both chose one, and they used that one to take down their giant, Goliath and the devil.
Yeah.
So I thought it was an interesting comparison.
It is an interesting comparison.
So
Maybe just don't tell her those types of things when you're cleaning.
mm,
Because she's probably like, just clean the cabinets, Mitchell.
that's probably what she thought.
Just clean the cabinets.
Yeah.
Your family's
So
coming over, and they're really gonna notice the cabinets. We just clean the cabinets.
did you notice the
No,
cabinet clean?
no idea.
I cleaned all the cabinets.
I had no idea.
I didn't clean all. She helped clean
Okay.
the cabinets, but all right. So I think we're done with
Yeah.
I'm
Dot.
going to go ahead and read. Now, in this case, in this particular story, Jesus quoted from Deuteronomy 8:3. I'm going to read Deuteronomy 8:2 through 5 so we
Okay.
can get the full context. And then that's probably where
We're going
to stop. And then
Mhm.
whenever we come back next time, we'll pick up there and I'll explain this. So Deuteronomy 8:2 through 5. And you shall remember the whole way that the Lord your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness, that he might humble you, testing you to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. And he humbled you, and let you hunger, and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. Your clothing did not wear out on you, and your foot did not swell these 40 years. Know then in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, the Lord your God disciplines you. So you may have noticed right there in the middle of that is where Jesus quoted, but he didn't quote the full verse. He only quoted the second half of 8:3. So when we come back next week, we will break that down and really look into what he was trying to say. And I should have better notes next time, so it won't be one big tangent.
That's okay.
But
We got through it. I made some notes on where we're gonna start, and maybe I
yeah,
can come a little bit earlier next time.
Or you can just remind me, because I will probably forget.
Yeah.
But okay, well, anybody have any questions before we wrap this up? Nothing.
All right.
We thank you for joining us for another episode of the Pure Faith Podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can leave a comment in this. I'm trying to go without my notes. I mean, I've been
Good job.
going without notes this whole time. That's what
Right.
I'm doing.
Go for it.
So you can leave a comment to this video, or you can go to purefaithliving.com and go to the contact page and leave us a message there. And we ask that you share the show with others so we can all work together in spreading the good news of Jesus Christ. And we will talk to you and see you again next time.
Have a great day.